Okay, I need you to hear me out on this. I've been wrestling with an idea for a while now, something that tries to bridge the gap between two worlds that seem so far apart, science and spirituality. And honestly, it kind of blew my own mind when it all clicked together. What if the concept of God isn't a being, a person, or a conscious entity in the sky, but is something much more fundamental? What if God is hydrogen? Think about it. Hydrogen is the very first element. It's the simplest, most abundant thing in the entire universe. It was there at the very beginning, right after the Big Bang. It fills the vast emptiness of space, and it's the building block of everything else. It's the alpha, the origin point. Every star you see in the night sky is a giant factory, a celestial furnace. And what's its fuel? Hydrogen. Inside these stars, a process called nuclear fusion is happening right now. Hydrogen atoms are being squeezed together under immense pressure and heat, fusing to become helium. And from there, the process continues, creating heavier and heavier elements, carbon, oxygen, iron, all the stuff that makes up planets. And eventually us. So, in a very real way, every star is a creator. Creation isn't a one-time event that happened billions of years ago. It's an ongoing, continuous process. The universe is constantly creating itself from the simplest possible source. If we entertain this idea that hydrogen is this divine source, then it reframes so many things. We talk about the God particle, searching for the fundamental essence of reality. Well, what if it's been hiding in plain sight all along? What if hydrogen is the God element, the thing that exists everywhere and from which everything else is born? This is where it gets really interesting, because once you start looking through this lens, you see patterns emerge in our oldest stories. It's almost like our ancestors were trying to explain the same cosmic truths, but with the language and metaphors they had at the time. Let's look at the story of Genesis. You have Adam, the first man. What if the word Adam wasn't meant to be taken literally as a person, but as a symbol for the atom? The first organized, stable unit of matter, the foundational building block of the physical world. It makes a strange kind of sense, right? Adam, the first of his kind, the atom, the first building block. Then you have Eve. In the story, Eve is created from Adam and becomes the mother of all living. What if Eve is a symbolic representation of evolution? Evolution is the process that breathes life into matter, the driving force that takes simple atoms and organizes them into complex living beings. Evolution is what gives birth to biology. So you have the atom, the building block, and evolution, the process that gives it life. And this is the part that really sent me down the rabbit hole. The story says Eve was created from Adam's rib. For centuries, we've pictured that literally. But what if the word rib was a stand-in for something else? A mistranslation or metaphor for something the ancient writers couldn't possibly have had a word for? What if that rib represents the ribosome? For those who don't know, the ribosome is a tiny molecular machine inside every living cell. It's often called the cell's protein factory. It reads the genetic code and assembles proteins, the very molecules that carry out almost all the functions of life. So Adam, the atom, gives his rib, the ribosome, the tool for building life to create Eve, the living, evolving world. The building block of matter provides the mechanism for the creation of life itself. The symbolism is just stunning. It's a story of physics giving birth to biology. Now let's zoom out. If we look at the periodic table of elements, it's not just a boring chart we had to memorize in chemistry class. If you look at it with this new perspective, it becomes something else entirely. It looks like a cosmic family tree. At the very top, you have hydrogen, element number 1. It's the parent. The great dash, great dash, great dash, everything dash grandparent of all matter. It's the original ancestor. Then, through the process of fusion inside stars, Hydrogen gives birth to its child, helium, and the family line continues. Helium and other elements fuse to create carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. Each new element is a descendant, born from the one before it, carrying on the family traits, the physical and chemical properties that build worlds. The elements created in those first stars spread out across the universe when the stars died. They formed new stars, new planets, and on at least one of those planets, they formed us. We are literally made of stardust. The calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, the carbon in our DNA, it all came from those stellar factories. We are, in a very direct and literal sense, part of the same family line that started with that very first hydrogen atom. We are direct descendants of that original source. If hydrogen is the divine source, then that divinity isn't something separate from us. It's inside us. It is us. So when you think about it this way, Genesis and the Big Bang Theory are no longer two conflicting stories fighting for dominance. Maybe they're just two different ways of describing the exact same truth, told by two different cultures at two vastly different points in human history. One uses the language of metaphor and divine narrative. The other uses the language of mathematics, observation, and empirical evidence. But the core story is the same. In the beginning, there was a simple singular source. From that source, everything else unfolded in a grand creative process that is still happening today. I call this idea the hydrogen God theory. It suggests that creation is not a past event, but a present reality. That God is not a person, but the first element. And that the universe is not just a collection of random objects, but a vast, interconnected family. This isn't about replacing anyone's faith or disproving science. For me, it's the opposite. It's about seeing them as two sides of the same coin. Two languages trying to tell the same epic story of existence. It's the idea that science isn't destroying spirituality, but perhaps is finally giving us the tools to understand it on a deeper, more fundamental level. It's not a battle of religion versus science. It's a dialogue where they might both be speaking the same language, just separated by thousands of years. What do you think? Does it make a weird kind of sense, or am I just spending too much time thinking about the universe? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to add to this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.